You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Captain John Doe podcast. I'm your host, Mindy.
And I am Kevin. Welcome aboard, Captain.
Wow, you didn't have your traditional intro.
Well, what are you talking about? Me saying I'm your favorite host?
Yeah, people have noticed lately that you haven't been calling yourself the favorite host, and they're wondering where the loss of confidence went.
You're right. I am your favorite host, Captain Kev, assisted by my beautiful first officer, Schmidt.
Okay, I will never be your first officer.
Okay. I think I just struck a chord there in real life.
You really did. I taught you how to fly, and you're going to call me your first officer?
The student is now the master.
Ridiculous.
I literally just grabbed a fly in my hand.
Did you actually?
I did.
I had I had the door open for a while today. That is one thing about Las Vegas is you can keep the doors open, and all that came in was one singular fly all day long. I had the door open.
That is a unique thing. That's because nothing out here lives because it's so hot.
Yeah, but when we lived in Georgia and Florida, oh my gosh, you can't leave the door open for 5 seconds. You'll have a whole insect colony move into your house.
Colony? Did you ever have an ant colony when you were growing up?
No, I wasn't a nerd.
I definitely had an ant colony. Nerd.
Speaking of nerds, we're going to be at Sun and Fun.
I can't wait.
Of course.
You know what just made me think of real quick? Because I know you want to get into your little monologue about Sun and Fun. But when you worked for Textron, you had an awesome name for all of the awesome people that would come up to you and ask how much this new Cessna 182 costs. What'd you call them?
I didn't make up that name. That is a sales name. That's from the biz, Kev. And those people are called whistling gophers.
Some would say whispering gophers.
Oh, yes. Did I just get it wrong? Did you say whispering or whistling?
Whispering.
I think it's whistling.
Either way.
Maybe it's whispering.
One go for?
Yeah, it's because they say, what's that one go for?
What's that one go for?
What's that one go for?
Family Guy voice.
What's that one go for? What's that one go for? And then that's usually followed up by a little whistle. Yeah, oh, that's right. Wait. Sorry. It is a whistling gopher because then they do the whistle. I just remembered. You can't even do it.
No.
Okay. And then do you know what the next follow-up to that is?
I don't want to be mean here, but
it's nothing mean.
Follow-up?
No, okay. They say, what's that one go for? And then you get the... And then do you know what the third part of this is?
No.
And they say, well, if I win the lottery, I know who to call. And I kid you not, that happens at Sun and Fun in Oshkosh when I was working the booth 1,000 times a day. That exact conversation, the whistling gopher, followed by the whistle, followed by the if I win the lottery. And it's hilarious because all the salespeople hear it over and over. So
listen, let's be clear. All of the manufacturers that attend these big major events are not there to actively close on deals during that time. They are there to represent general aviation to the community for people like the whistling gophers to come up.
Yeah.
Brand awareness, baby.
Some of my fondest memories, and if you guys are new here, I used to work for Textron Aviation selling brand new airplanes. I now sell used airplanes for a company called Lone Mountain Aircraft. But during my Textron days, I worked there for about 6 years. And part of the job of an aircraft salesperson when you work for a manufacturer is going to events like Sun and Fun and Oshkosh, all these really great events, and you are assigned to work the booth. And usually I'd be flying in a show airplane, so I would fly myself in a brand new airplane, land at Sun and Fun or Oshkosh or whatever, get it into the booth, and then we park it next to the aircraft. I sit there all day, every day, talking to whistling gophers, answering questions. How fast this one go? What kind of avionics are in here? And we're just playing show and tell for the whole week. And it was really, really fun, but it is exhausting to be there for a week and be answering the same questions over and over again. And you want to be sure to give everyone the same kindness and energy over and over again, because you never know when someone's not a whistling gopher. Because the point of being a salesperson at a manufacturer is to sell some freaking airplanes. So you never know when that real person is coming through. It's the ultimate test of character.
Ultimate. Well, let's raise a toast to all of the salespeople, pilots, to all of the representatives at Sun and Fun as they embark on a fun week of whistling gophers. Because you know who's a whistling gopher? This guy. I'm going to go up to all of these people because, listen, they are spending their time and their money to be there. And I want to hear what they are selling.
So, Kevin, okay, I'm going back to my salespeople day. I'm also going to uncover another secret that probably the manufacturers don't want people knowing, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not that bad. We used to play bingo. Do you know about this?
I am kind of remembering this.
So the salespeople used to. I don't know if this is bad or not. It's just fun.
It's bad.
No, it's just funny. It's funny. It's not bad. So, for example, going to Sun and Fun. Prior to Sun and Fun, we'd get together and we'd create our own bingo cards that all the salespeople would have access to on their phone. And you'd check things off almost like a scavenger hunt. And then once the first person got bingo, then they would win, or you'd have to see everything on the card or whatever the rules were. And items on this bingo card were things such as whistling gopher. So once you get your first whistling gopher to come up to you, you check that box. Another common one, scooter gangs of 5 or more scooters.
Of 5 or more specifically.
Yes, it had to be a gang. Gang. So at Sun and Fun, more Sun and Fun than Oshkosh. Sun and Fun is notorious for the electric wheelchair, like scooters that have the basket on front, little handlebars. There's no doubt that there's a lot of older people in Florida, and these scooter companies make bank during Sun and Fun renting these out to people. And you always see like 1 or 2 go by, but every once in a while,
Scoot gang,
you have the glorious moment where a tribe of 5 or more will roll up to that Cessna 182 at the same time. And then they're all whistling gophers.
They're all whistling.
And then you're like, boom, check 2 off at the same time. Another good one for Sun and Fun, strawberry milkshake.
That's a good one.
Do you know about the strawberry milkshake?
I mean, I know that every time we go, we get strawberry milkshake.
Why? Do you know?
I don't know what you're alluding to.
Plant City trick.
Strawberry Festival.
Yes, Plant City, strawberry capital of the country. Plant City, Florida, right next to Lakeland, is known for strawberries. And if you go to Sun and Fun, you must make the 20-minute drive. Oh, crap. I should be able to tell people this. Hold on. You talk about something while I look up this place to tell people to go to.
All right. Well, we got off topic, but we wanted to talk about like what we're doing. So we are going to be at Sun and Fun. So please come up to us and chat and let us know that you guys are listening to the podcast, because we are going to be there.
Parksdale Farm Market.
That was quick.
Parksdale Farm Market. It's like a 20-minute drive from Lakeland. Go escape the Florida heat, get away from the whistling gophers, and go get the world-famous strawberry shortcake and their thick strawberry milkshakes.
You keep saying getting away. We are all whistling gophers.
I'm not. I know what they cost.
Parksdale.
I know what they go for.
Market.
Parksdale Farm Market. Okay, so a lot of times when I worked at Textron, we'd send one person to go get them and bring them back for all the salespeople. They'd bring back like 30 of them, and everyone's day was made. They're so freaking good. What else was on the bingo card? A kid trying to get into the airplane with an ice cream cone.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Probably a jump scare from one of the fighters. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So speaking of fighters, the Thunderbirds are coming
Thunderbirds, which
from
in our backyard.
Yep. Our neighbors, the T-Birds, are going to be performing at Sun and Fun. So you know what's cool about Sun and Fun is every year they alternate Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels. And that is unique from Oshkosh because there's something wrong with the aerobatic box at Oshkosh where these high performance demo teams cannot perform, but they can at Sun and Fun. So that's a real treat at the Sun and the Fun.
So what are some, I guess, manufacturers or shops you look forward to visiting?
Well, I would encourage you guys to go visit my partners and top companies that I love to work with. Garmin Aviation. Go check out the latest and greatest. Figure out what you can add to your panel or go make your dream panel in the Garmin booth. They'll have a ton of simulators and stuff of all their equipment that you can play with. Go check out Hartzell. We put a Hartzell prop on our airplane and I am so smitten with it. And even it's almost been 2 years since we've done that. And I am over the moon with our prop from Hartzell and their team is just awesome. Last year, they had some Mojo sticker handouts. I don't know if they're going to make it this year, but Mojo, our airplane, is on a lot of their brochures and stuff.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a Mojo sighting.
There could be a Mojo sighting at Hartzell.
Maybe even in the Garmin booth.
Where you can find me, I'll probably be hanging around the Cirrus booth a lot. If you guys aren't aware, the brokerage I work for called Lone Mountain Aircraft is a partner to Cirrus Aircraft. So that's where we hang out a lot. But don't be fooled. I sell all brands, Textron, Pipers, everything. So I will be at all the booths. Go give them all some love. Go whistle at some airplane prices and really make those salespeople's days.
And you're also doing a talk, aren't you?
Oh, hold on. Wait, one more thing.
Sorry.
I would love if you guys go to the Textron booth and ask where Mindy is. Please.
Bingo card.
Because they're so tired of it. I left Textron 4 years ago and people continue to ask where I am that may not know that I had left Textron.
Mind you, 4 years ago, if anyone was at Sun and Fun, they had a giant display in the booth and Mindy's face had to have been at least 200 feet.
My mugshot was there.
So, yes, go ask Mindy.
Yes, please.
I'd like to find out what this one's go for.
Ask where Schmindy is specifically. Go up to any of the salespeople. Ask where Schmindy or Mindy is. Please.
Please.
Kevin, stop with the mic. People are going to hear that.
Sorry.
Kevin's there playing with equipment. Stop that.
Tell about what your talk is, because I don't do much at Sun and Fun except be a nerd as you entered this conversation, because I love looking at all the new stuff.
Yes. So at Sun and Fun, my agenda is to go get some sun and fun, see airplanes, learn about airplanes, connect with clients, connect with the vendors and stuff that I work with all the time, some business relationships. And then the one thing that I do have scheduled, Lone Mountain has voluntold me that I am the MC of a session that we are going to host. It's a session about how, or maybe even why, you should step up to turbine ownership from being a piston owner, owning an SR-22, 182, 206, and how do you actually make the jump to step up into turbine ownership into an SF-50 Vision Jet or a TBM or whatever. So we're going to be doing a live taping there. It's going to be myself. I will be the MC hosting this session. And we're going to have a representative from insurance to talk about what it's like to get insured on those type of airplanes. We're going to have a couple of my sales colleagues who are type-rated jet pilots as well, and that are absolute experts in the field. We're going to have them a part of it. We're going to have one of our customers a part of it that can speak to what it's like from an actual owner, what it was like for him. He went from owning an SR-22 to owning TBM, a Phenom. I think he bought a Vision Jet as well. A CJ. Ooh, So one of the 525s, I forget. He's owned so many things. He did all of that in 2 years, from like zero to jet pilot and owning a jet in 2 years. It's pretty incredible. All that to say, that's on Wednesday. It's a live taping. We're videoing it for our own purposes at Lone Mountain. We're going to make a YouTube video out of it and then cut it up into smaller content as well. So we're going to be videoing it, but there is space for a live audience. It's a smaller classroom. It's in the CFAA high school building at Sun and Fun, and it's in room 10. Our session is going to be Wednesday, April 15th at 1 p.m. So it's from 1 to 2 p.m. It's just an hour long. So if you want to come, sit in the audience, ask questions, listen to this session, watch a live taping with me as the host, please feel free to come. There is an RSVP. If you go to Lone, which is LONE, lonemountainaircraft.com/next-altitude-event. That'll take you to the landing page with all of this information. So feel free to come. It's an open invite. Would love to see you guys at Sun and Fun 2026 next week.
Exciting. I cannot wait. Something else that's exciting that I just got done is I renewed my medical.
Is that exciting?
Yeah, because I renewed. Anytime I know that I am fairly healthy. Okay, we're not going to get too in depth about that, but like every time you go to the doctor, you're nervous because you don't know what to expect. But anyway,
no, that is true. It is your livelihood on the line.
Livelihood, literally, like you show up to spend 10 minutes with this doctor who can dictate whether you can work or not. Anyways, mine went well. I got it. So with that being said, we're kind of thinking about like ways that I can move forward on keeping my health up, because I have someone like Mindy who has done this professionally to help keep her health up. So you have any tips?
Do I have tips about
like keeping up in this industry? Like, how do we sit on our butts for 6 hours a day and expect to wake up the next morning chipper and ready to rock?
Yeah, it's actually really difficult. And it's something that I have to be so conscious of and prioritize, because as I am slowly getting older, I notice that my lower back and my hips are getting really sore from all the flying and sitting and office work. So I think this applies to not only just pilots, but anyone who has an office job, because I have both. And I've had times in my life where I'm flying a lot, and I've had times in my life, like right now, where I have office a lot. Both of them are stressing on your body and making you be way too sedentary. So a couple of quick tips I think I could come up with kind of on the spot is, my general rule of thumb is I'm always trying to get 10,000 steps per day. I wear a Garmin smartwatch to track my steps. I absolutely love my Garmin watch. I have oh gosh, I'm so bad with model names. It's the X10. Yeah, the D2 Air. No, I already got it wrong. It's the D2 Air X15. That's the latest and greatest one that I wear. It's like a smartwatch with aviation stuff, but it tracks my steps. I have been sitting at my office desk for almost 12 hours. It's 8 p.m. and I started work this morning at 8 a.m. And I've got 5,500 steps. So not my greatest day, but I managed to go on 3 short walks just to get my blood moving a little bit. So it's actually a day I'm quite proud of, given how much work I've done.
That's a good point. I mean, I had a pretty long day. I flew over 6 hours today, and I'm looking at my Garmin watch, and I got about 7,000 steps in.
Yeah, you beat me.
So the goal is 10,000. That's the goal. It's hard.
Yeah.
But another thing that really helps me out, and this is definitely stemming from the help of my wife, is, bringing my lunch with me. And that's a challenge because I work in an airplane, right? So I have to have a cooler. I don't really have any food that I heat up because I don't have time to.
Right.
Depending on your type of work, you might have access to a microwave, but I always got my little lunch bag that my best buddy gave me for being in his wedding. And I have good, healthy snacks.
Yeah, you just get those like freezer packs that you put in there to keep it cold.
Yeah, so I have some.
So what's a typical lunch that you'd bring that's not microwavable and that's healthy? Because that's tough.
So I'm gonna have a protein bar. I'm gonna have a beef jerky stick, and then I'm probably gonna have some like chicken salad. Or
Yeah,
maybe a sandwich.
we do a lot of homemade chicken salad. If you guys get the canned chicken salad and do like a traditional chicken salad recipe, add in a little bit of bacon, like pre-cooked bacon, and some buffalo sauce, and maybe a little bit of cheddar cheese or something. I know that like suddenly made it not as healthy, but I don't care. It's like knock your socks off so good.
Yeah. Well, we are not. I am not a nutritionist. Mindy is pretty close, but things that I've been thinking about because I've been sitting in a plane a lot. I just looked at my logbook. I have 1,500 plus hours.
Woo!
And I accomplished that in a 12 calendar month period. So
A lot of sitting.
you guys can do some math. It's a lot of sitting, and the energy level definitely comes ebbs and flows, but like we do our best to keep that up. And the best thing I would say that has changed is our sleep. Like I definitely sleep a lot more now than I was as a controller.
You gotta prioritize sleep. Sleep is the most important thing you can do for your body. Look up, there's so many easy rules of thumb on how to get good sleep, but really invest your time and effort into doing that. Another thing that I do every single morning, I have a full, like this huge jug, I don't know how many ounces it is, of water with electrolytes and creatine every single morning. That's how I start my day while I'm fasted, before I have a bite of food, before I have a sip of coffee. I think it's really important. I learned that from a nutritionist that I hired a couple years ago, and it really changed things for me on how it got my body moving in the morning. But electrolytes, I think, are so important for pilots. Our buddy owns a company that I would suggest. It's called Absorb. Has great electrolytes. I also like Redmond's Real Salt electrolytes. But get one that doesn't have a lot of sugars and artificial stuff. Be very careful about the ones that you buy because you could be doing more damage than positivity. But both of those companies, Redmond Real Salt or Absorb More, I would suggest as a healthy electrolyte. But drink your coffee and then, drink your electrolytes and any other supplements that you want to take, and then get into your coffee and breakfast.
Well, head to our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com, to find out more about electrolytes.
Wait, no, I don't have anything on there.
Just kidding.
If you forget, just re-listen or
kidding.
DM me.
But we need you guys to submit stories. We are burning through them. I know a couple episodes back we said we were still a little ways out. That has changed because we are ripping these podcasts out. We're not going to miss an episode every Wednesday. So please go and submit your anonymous story, CaptainJohnDoe.com. Follow us.
Yes, remember, fully anonymous. And if you've been listening to this podcast and you're like, man, I love every Wednesday listening to this, it is your time to contribute. I know you have a story.
Even if we'll know it's you.
Even if you're not a pilot, you must have an airline story or an airport story or a mechanic story, a flight attendant story. You might have a story that's your friends. Submit their story. It's anonymous.
Yeah. Follow us on socials. Mindy, not we, put out some great stuff. And subscribe. And please leave a review. As always, I love to read a couple reviews a week. This week, Pilot Loading, 5 stars only, said, the aviation podcast for balance. There are so many great aviation podcasts to choose from, but only a few that I never miss an episode. This is a never miss podcast.
Aww.
While there are lessons to be learned from the stories, they lead with humor and entertainment. Even the laugh is fair game. Mindy and Kevin do a great job with delivery, and their interactions are heartwarmingly hilarious. Thanks for the aviation podcast that balances those that feel like training.
Oh, that's a really great review. Thank you for taking the time to write that.
We appreciate all of these.
That's really sweet.
Grumpy Spotter, 5 stars only, said great stories. Like hearing the stories and being told by third parties, by people. Great voices.
Oh, Grumpy Spotter has a nice streak. So, speaking of reviews and listening, we want to reward you guys with free merch. There's a merch drawing once a month. The next drawing is going to be on episode number 40. This is episode 38, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you head to our Instagram the Captain John Doe podcast Instagram or go to captainjohndoe.com. You can find all the rules. The fourth Wednesday of every month, we'll be picking one winner. You can enter for free. Just follow us on Instagram and engage with our monthly giveaway post. Or you can leave a review just like the ones that we read. So if you go on Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom, add your rating, and just let us know that you did it. And boom, you are in the free merch drawing.
Boom.
Open to U.S. residents 18 and older. And you know where to find the rules.
Boom, boom, boom.
Speaking of boom.
All right. Listener submitted stories this week.
Wait, you missed my joke.
I got a joke. I was going to lead into it, but you didn't give me a second.
Okay.
Speaking of boom, say it again.
Do you guys remember that we're married? Now you do.
Try it again.
Speaking of boom.
2 Sonic Boom stories.
There you go. That's the reply I was looking for.
All right. So the first one happened in the early 60s. I love that we have listeners of all ages, by the way. I'm not calling you old, whoever you are, okay? But 60s, Mindy and our parents were children then.
Yeah.
Anyways, this first one happened in the early 60s. My 2 brothers and I grew up on 100 acres about 5 miles south of Independence, Oregon. This put us a few miles north of Camp Adair Air Force Station. Rumor was that they had a radar facility there. Behind the house, out towards the barn, my dad buried a 1,000-gallon gasoline tank. This was on a slope, so the barn side had a trench to the tank. On this day, Mom was siphoning fuel into a 5-gallon container. She had come into the house to check up on us. We were standing in the kitchen when the entire house shook, accompanied by a thunderous boom. Boom from the Thunder Chickens. Mom's face went white. She told me, do not go back out no matter what happens. Then she went out back. I'm not sure how much fuel spilled, but she later explained to Dad that she thought the tank had blown up. We figured this was a low-flying supersonic jet. Sonic booms were a regular occurrence, but this one was much louder than usual.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's really funny. This sounds like they were living the good old days out on a ranch, but I picture her going down to the creek for water instead of going to the gas tank to fill up gas.
Just siphon some gas.
Right.
He even used the word siphon. I love that. All right, his second story happened on August 17th, 2010. We were alive then.
Thanks for telling everyone.
I was sitting at my desk on the 11th floor of One Union Square in downtown Seattle. My desk had a great view of I-5 going under the State Convention Center. It's where they tested the fire suppression system and forgot to turn off the phone dump onto I-5. I did not know that story, but I assume that was a big deal in Seattle. It was early afternoon. I was already planning my escape home, and I don't know that word. Do you know that word? Enumclaw. Enumclaw. You Washington people maybe help me with my pronunciation. Anyways, it's about an hour commute on a good day. The president was in town, and I knew all mass transit would be messed up. I planned to hoof it through town to the Sodo district to catch the Sounder down to Auburn. I'm assuming the Sounder is a train. Suddenly, I heard 2 large booms and instantly identified them as sonic booms. My coworker wondered, what are they blowing up down south with the president in town? So I told him those were sonic booms. Sonic what? Isn't that illegal? I think this may have been one where the pilot failed to check the NOTAMs. Flew from Moses Lake back to Seattle and landed at Lake Washington. I heard rumors that it only took them 4 minutes to make the 112 nautical mile trip from PDX to Seattle, which is Portland, Oregon to Seattle. That seems a little quick even for the military.
Wow.
Well, I have an error. You Oregonians, not Washingtons. I think I said for you Washington people out there.
You did.
Yes, he's from Oregon.
But he was talking about downtown Seattle.
Oh, he changed in the second story. Either way, my bad. So the first story was Oregon. The second story was Seattle.
Yes.
So I love conspiracy theories. I like the idea that you think it took 4 minutes for a jet to go 112 miles.
That's insane.
I'm going to buy into it and say Of course it happened.
That is insane.
That's insane. I think we talked about this a couple times that going supersonic in the lower 48 is definitely not allowed under normal circumstances.
Right.
So let's say this did happen, which I believe it did happen. It wouldn't be that weird if the president was in town because something could have been going on. Something as simple as an airplane busting the TFR, the presidential TFR.
True.
That would cause a fighter to go supersonic and have no recourse.
True.
So, like, I do believe that this probably happened. I will say they probably checked the NOTAMs and they probably were intercepting somebody.
That's true. That's a good thought.
That's my thought because I've worked many presidential TFRs. I can tell you firsthand, there is always at least a couple fighters and a couple tankers in the immediate area that you don't know about.
So you had told a story a while ago about a fighter jet when you were working ATC at Atlanta that asked your colleague for permission to go supersonic, to which they approved it. And they did. And they killed a bunch of cows. And there was the Atlanta
The Bama Boom.
The Bama Boom
It was over
song.
Alabama.
Okay. Just a quick recap on that. Tell me, do you know who actually does have the authority to approve supersonic? Because I feel like your colleague did not.
No.
Okay. Who does?
So I don't know the specific answer, but if you were asking me this in a check ride, I would say the FAA administrator can approve stuff like that. But also, if a fighter had to go supersonic, there's probably not a lot that's going to be done if it was necessary. In this case, it was not. I never followed up with the F-22 pilot, but my guess is he probably got in trouble a little bit.
Probably got a little wrist slap.
Probably got a little wrist slap because, in my time working as a controller, I've never had, there was no wartime where we had fighters leaving in a hurry.
Right.
They would never go supersonic. There was rare times where if I asked them to go vertical pretty quickly, they would. So maybe I don't.
No, that wouldn't be supersonic.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I would assume, somebody in the military is going to pass down some knowledge and I'm going to show up and I'm going to get a quick brief saying, hey, you're going to have a Raptor rolling through at noon and they're going supersonic, by the way.
Okay.
That would be my guess. If it was in like a legal matter.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
To practice supersonic over the States, I don't know.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the military will go supersonic over international waters, like off the coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Like the naval stations and stuff down there will go, and it's not that far. You just have to go into the international.
You fighter guys out there, let us know who gives the approval. I don't really feel like that's that top secret. But air traffic controllers do not have the authority to violate FARs.
I wonder what went through your coworker's head when he approved it. And did he get in trouble? Do you know?
I remember whoever was manning, this was in Atlanta, my days in Atlanta, whoever was manning the watch desk, stormed down and said, who told this fighter they could go supersonic? And that was the end of it.
Wow. Okay. Well, that guy, good for him.
That was the end of it.
Good for
At the end of the day, controllers cannot force you to break FARs.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
You can do anything on your last day of work.
And I'm not going to name names in this podcast, but the individual was the oldest individual in the entire center. And Atlanta Center at the time had about 330 controllers.
So it was about his last day anyway.
Yep.
He didn't give two shits about what was going to happen.
But I was sitting next to him and man, it was the coolest thing. He goes, supersonic approved. Raptor 22 supersonic approved. And the next day, the Bama Boom aliens raining down on this rural town in Alabama and hundreds of cattle died.
Remember a couple years ago at Oshkosh that a plane accidentally went supersonic?
Yes.
It was In 2021, does that sound right?
Honestly, I don't know.
An F-16 passed Mach 1 in 2021.
Yeah, my guess.
That was hilarious. It scared everybody. Everyone was like, what the hell?
Dealing with the military in my current role, like they definitely handle this stuff internally. They don't make it public. They're not going to put it in the media. You know, these individuals that are doing things accidentally or on purpose are being handled for sure.
Cool.
Anywho's, I love the supersonic stuff. I can go on for days. Mindy, what do you got for me?
Well, I want a pilot who's flown supersonic and has a cool supersonic boom story. Or, I guess, a spectator. I want more supersonic boom stories.
The closest thing I've seen is the wingtips going supersonic.
I almost went supersonic once. And you know why I couldn't? Because the airspace was hot. That was over the international waters, was where the rest of the military squadron was practicing, so I couldn't enter in there. And I need to share this story on a future podcast, but I had the great honor and still cannot believe that I got to fly with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels in an F-18 Super Hornet.
Give me the chills.
And we went just a hair under supersonic.
Just a smidge.
And unfortunately, again, only because we couldn't get into the box where they normally are allowed to go supersonic because there were other jets practicing in there. But we got pretty dang close.
We'll share that on another episode.
And there's a video to prove it. You can see all of that, you know, the vortices going off the wingtips, and it is freaking insane.
Yeah, you definitely need to share that story.
I will. I'll share that story in one of our next episodes. Anywho, let's get to somebody else's cool story. Are you ready for it?
Hit me.
I passed the oral portion of the exam easily, but I had to delay the flight portion due to weather. Luckily, my DPE had a slot open at a different airport the following afternoon. On the ground, the DPE set my expectations by explaining what he could and couldn't do during the check ride and told me that we would debrief after completion of the flight. The day was perfect. Beautiful blue sky and a moderate breeze straight down the 18 runway. We took off and started the cross-country portion of the flight, which went very smooth and easy. From there, it was foggle time and some very unusual attitudes. All seemed pretty straightforward, and my confidence was growing. We ran through an in-flight emergency and the predictable engine out. After he allowed me to push the throttle open, he said, "Let's head back to the airport." I should explain that the airport where the check ride happened is not my home airport, but I had flown in there once or twice during my training, and of course, I brushed up on the particulars as I got ready for the flight. The runway is fairly short at 3,200 feet on a 1836 heading, but it's smoothly paved and had a nice FBO. It's important to note that the traffic pattern is right-handed. When we arrived, I crossed midfield and I flew a teardrop into the right downwind leg. The first landing was butter, with a nice constant headwind, and the tires gave a cute little bark as they met the asphalt. My DPE said, "Let's taxi back and I'd like you to show me a soft field takeoff." After the best landing ever, I was getting excited and my confidence was growing exponentially. We rolled onto the runway as I advanced the throttle, and we were off in short order, climbing out at VX. When we were about halfway through the downwind, my DPE reached over his shoulder and said, "You see that taxiway? I'd like you to show me a short field landing after that taxiway." This airport has a straight north-south runway with taxiways at either end and a taxiway from the runway directly in the middle of the field to the ramp. I thought, if the runway's 3,200 end to end and he's making me land after the midfield taxiway, that means I have less than 1,600 feet. Being a conservative pilot, this is not something I would typically fly into, but I own the Cherokee we're sitting in, and at this point, I have largely memorized the POH getting ready for this exam. I know in a perfect world, a Cherokee can land in about 630 feet, but I'm no test pilot. I do, however, have a nice breeze straight down the runway, and my confidence is high, so I figured, what the hell. The approach was nice and stable, and as we passed over the numbers, I got her low and slow as I dared. As the nose passed the midfield taxiway, I set her down, dumped the flaps, and mashed on the brakes. My DPE's hand shot out to the dash to hold himself in the seat as the tire squealed on the pavement. We turned off at the end taxiway without a problem. As we taxied back, he said, "Let's try that one again, only this time I want you to land on the numbers." We sat down to debrief the flight. His first question was, "Care to explain that bad landing?" "Bad landing?" I asked, genuinely not understanding his question. "Your first short field landing. You were doing so well, and then we floated forever. I thought you were going to pile us up at the end." "Floated? We didn't float. I set it down right where you asked." He looked up at a large poster of the airport on the wall of the conference room in the FBO and started to laugh. He said, "I pointed to the first taxiway at the end of 3-6. Did you think I meant midfield?" I said, "I couldn't see what you were pointing at since you were sitting in front of the window." I spent a few minutes reviewing my decision to land where I did, including pulling out the POH, showing him the published landing roll out my Cherokee. He made me to promise to never do that again, and I left with my certificate.
Wow. Wow. First of all, you clearly were ready and you know your damn airplane. Second of all, that DPE is the man.
I think you're both the man.
You're both the man, but like, why am I saying the DPE is the man? Because he didn't fail you on the spot. He let you explain what happened. You know, if I was the examiner, I probably would have chirped up at some point.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking that he thought that this guy put the plane down almost 1,000 feet after what he asked.
On a short field landing where we all know the parameters. Like, that's crazy.
That's confusing why they wouldn't immediately.
But I like that this guy didn't fail him on the spot and debriefed, and clearly the explanation was warranted. I would argue, you know, if I was your examiner, not to throw any shade, but like the ADM there is a little bit weird, but like you're with an examiner and you do what they tell you to do. So like,
I think that changes the decision making there. I wouldn't say that a student has bad decision making based on an examiner giving.
I wouldn't.
Because they, like, you don't know, especially on your very first check ride ever, your private pilot exam, which this is, you have no idea how this goes. So you don't know if that's normal or not. You're like, is this normal? Do all check rides go this way? Do they always push you a little bit? Like, they don't know. They've never been in this position before.
No, that's a good point. I had a student take his private check ride last week and passed. And during the emergency descent portion, the examiner started asking him questions. And my student, when he was debriefing me, he said he was super confused because like he started getting distracted and he started coming out of the maneuver. And then the examiner said, "Well, what are you doing?" And then they both kind of stopped. And the examiner stopped himself and said, "Hold on, my fault." You know, like,
oh, I thought you were going to say it was a test because a lot of examiners do try to distract you during maneuvers.
Yeah, he was like, he stopped himself and even told me like, "Hey, I made a mistake during some maneuvers." Yes. But like during an emergency descent, when we're trying to exceed, you know, the speed of sound in a Cirrus, like I'm not trying to distract you. So like I could see your first time check ride, you're just going to comply with whatever.
Well, it's always hard. I remember on my check rides, this exact thing, not knowing what was a test where they want you to say, "Hey, stop trying to distract me. I'm doing something here," because they're looking for that answer sometimes. And what are they actually asking me to do? You know?
Yeah. So I share this story to my students because I'm not ashamed of the errors that I've made. But on my private pilot check ride, I did it at an airport I've never even been to in my life.
No, you had. That's a lie.
No. Let me share. So we started at an airport we practiced at. But then,
I thought that's what you were saying.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too in depth. Like this is I can run through my check ride stories with you later date. But anyways, I did my private check ride about 50 miles away from my home airport. So Mindy took me there and did like 2-a-days real quick. That way we were prepped.
Yeah, we did check ride prep there.
Anyways, we took off and did my cross country, but then we were pretty far along in the cross country point, and we were at like 8,000 feet, and he pulled my engine out. So he pulled my engine, and just instincts kick in from Mindy training me, like, where are you going to land? And there happened to be an airport about 4 miles away. So I just spiraled down and landed at the airport. And then we did all of our landings at this random airport as well that I've never been to. So we go back, and, he debriefs me, and he's like, the only thing that you didn't do well is, he's like, in the emergency portion, he's like, I can't fail you, Kevin, because you found an airport 4 miles away and landed the airplane with no engine. But he's like, at no point did you do anything to troubleshoot.
Kevin,
He goes,
that's bad.
he goes, at no point.
That's bad.
He's like, but what am I supposed to do because you landed the airplane? So, like, we joke about it now, but like that really honed in on me on when I got more ratings, and especially as an instructor, like, how important it is to get the engine back. Because he told me, he's like, I was going to give you your engine back right away once you flipped the tanks, and we were going to go back to this other airport. But instead, we landed at some airport I had no idea. I found the frequency, traffic pattern, everything, and then we did all of our landings at this airport, which was kind of funny. So, like I said, I'm not immune to errors like everybody else, and I use these as examples of, one, checkride jitters. Like, of course, I went over emergency procedures 1,000 times, but I just had it in my head, I'm landing this airplane, and that's not even what the examiner wanted.
Right. Well, I guess the takeaway from this is to always ask for clarification, because this pilot on his check ride clearly knew that something was strange here and was like, I can't believe he's going to make me land in that short of a distance. But instead of questioning it out loud, he only questioned it inside. And if he would have asked for clarification and been like, are you sure? Like, that's where you want me to land, and use half the runway, just clarifying, they would have sorted that in 3 seconds in the air. And this goes with flying in any scenario, not just check rides. If you're not sure, always ask for clarification, whether that's with your co-pilot, your DPE, whoever, ATC, always ask for clarification.
All right. We haven't done one of these in a minute. We're going to do the advice section. All right. I am a hobby private pilot and have had my PPL for about a year. I'm ready for a career change, and if I could travel back in time, I might become a career pilot. But I'm in my 30s now, and I'm not confident the lifestyle of a pilot appeals to me. I've been working in software sales and marketing for over 10 years. Working on the business side of aviation could be a good balance. Being a broker like Mindy, doing marketing for a manufacturer, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody in my friends or family is involved in aviation. What advice would you have for someone looking to get into aircraft sales or other business roles in aviation? When Mindy's ready to hire an intern, hit me up. Just don't ask me to do any spot landings in the interview. Thank you for an awesome podcast and the inspiration while I worked on my PPL. Well, thank you, first of all, for listening.
Thank you.
This question gets asked, I feel like, on a daily basis to you. And now it's starting to be asked to me because they want opinions from you, and some people go through me.
Yeah.
So I know the answer, my canned answer. So why don't you tell people what a broker would actually say?
Well, they asked for 2 things. They said, what advice would you have for someone looking to get into aircraft sales or other business roles in aviation? Because they are also interested in marketing or other business type stuff. This is not going to be the first or last time you're going to hear it.
First of all, before Mindy goes, you're in your 30s. Like, if you do want to be a pilot, I'm 34.
No, they said they don't think the lifestyle of a pilot appeals to them.
That's true.
It wasn't about them not thinking that they're old enough, or that they're too old. Sorry, no, they said that they're not, don't want to be a career pilot.
True.
Sorry about it, babes. Not everyone wants to be a pilot.
Okay. Well, he is a pilot.
I know.
Or she.
Career pilot.
He or she.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to assume your gender.
Answer the question.
Not the first or last time you're gonna hear it, but networking is everything. And where do you network? Business aviation events like MBAA.
Like specifically MBAA. There is not a better event.
Specifically.
like literally when NBAA was here in Vegas in the fall, and I have all of my coworkers, and a lot of them want to get into business aviation side, and not one of them went.
And I even offered them free tickets.
It's just like, you can't just be another resume that's been submitted.
Yeah, so you need to meet people in person. You need to go shake hands and kiss babies and do that whole business thing. That's exactly what it is. Go to MBAA and go do that. Another great way to enter business aviation is through a manufacturer. A lot of people in business aviation started at a manufacturer. This sounds backwards, but manufacturers, Textron, Cessna Beechcraft, Cirrus, Piper, what have you, they have entry-level business positions. It is so much easier to get your feet wet at a manufacturer and learn the ropes at a company like that. Learn business, have a company card, have good resources, good teams, good knowledge to learn from. And then you network naturally from that role. And then you can find other opportunities within the industry after getting your start that way. That's exactly how I did it. That's exactly how 95% of my colleagues did it. Most people think that, selling a brand new product, new airplanes, is what you need experience for, but it's actually opposite, which is so weird. Selling new airplanes, they hire entry level, and then selling used airplanes, you cannot get on with a good brokerage without 10 years of experience.
Yeah, I think, to be clear, she's talking about like a business development sales director type of thing. You're not going to become the sales director right away, but I know we're not getting into that. But like with Mindy's company with Lone Mountain, it's one of the top 2 piston brokerages in the country. How do you get hired at Lone Mountain? You don't get hired at Lone Mountain by saying I want to be a broker. You get hired at Lone Mountain by having an email address that ends in Textron or Cirrus Aviation, and then being recruited.
Yes.
There's a grind in everything in this life. We all know that. You know that. You're in, software sales. Like, you don't just get to be the guy or girl. Like, you have to grind. I don't just get to go work for Delta. But the way in sales as a spouse and from the outside in is working for an OEM. Textron and Cirrus employs so many people specifically.
Yes. Again,
and we know those most. That's why we keep using.
Well, and they have to post, and like they have certain requirements sometimes of needing to hire externally and whatever. There's gonna be so much more opportunity there, and then you can transfer out if you want to. Like, you can have a great full career at a manufacturer, and that would be a really wonderful career. But if you're like, my dream is to work at a smaller boutique, company that is smaller, more family run, whatever, then those companies, like Lone Mountain, we have one marketing person. At Textron, there's a team of 10 marketing people. So there's just so much more opportunity at manufacturers. And then aircraft sales specifically, I hate answering this question because it's frustrating because I want to help people and give advice so deeply, but I have no advice to give because there is no step-by-step guide on how to get into aircraft sales, because it truly is having the right qualifications, being a really talented person, having good connections and networking, and getting the right opportunity to be lucky at the right time. It's all these stars have to align. It's like when people want to become a pilot, there's a very clear path on how to become a pilot. You get these handful of ratings, then you time build till 1,500 hours. of those 1,500 hours, you need this much cross country time, this much IMC time, this much night time. It is so freaking clear in black and white on what you need to be a pilot at Delta Airlines.
Yeah. I guess from like an outsider's perspective, I'm going to use your company, for instance. If I was interested in becoming a broker, I would go on Lone Mountain and I would look at the team. On the website, it gives you credentials. If you go through line by line, every single one of the people that work with you pretty much did something similar. They worked for a manufacturer. They were a demo pilot. They have type ratings in jets, even if you don't sell jets. Like they've established this, credentials that have led to being a very successful broker for a very successful boutique firm.
Yeah.
That's
a great point. So yeah, if you were to look at Lone Mountain's team and say, what do most of the salespeople, and we have maybe 10 salespeople, it's not a big company. What do we all have in common? That's true. It's hard to name anyone who doesn't have that's on their own as a broker. There's hardly any that don't have manufacturer background, demo pilot, all their certificates. Most of us are type rated, very accomplished, well-respected pilots. And to get on at Lone Mountain or other boutique firms, got to have several years of experience. When I came on, I was the lowest experienced broker that they probably hired, and I had almost 7 years of experience.
right.
I think that they normally look for about 10 years. I'm now at 10 years. I'm at over 10 years of experience. But when I came on, I had probably close to 7.
I think the other thing too, because we keep saying like type ratings, and I don't want to make this person think that they have to go back to school. But when you're selling to the owner operator, the pilot, the guy or girl sitting in the front seat who's purchasing the jet or the turbo is flying the airplane. So they need somebody who has some sort of knowledge. So that's where it comes from.
But you're right. None of these things are requirements. On the contrary, I know other aircraft salespeople that have none of those things. I don't know any broker that's not a pilot at all. Everyone I know is at least a pilot. Some of them are not even current though. So, I mean, the spectrum varies.
You can sell Gulfstreams and not be a pilot.
Yeah, I mean, you're not selling to pilots when you're selling a Gulfstream.
My point was.
But it doesn't matter. You can sell M2s and not be a pilot 100%, or not be a type rated pilot. It's going to be more difficult. And I just think that you're setting yourself up for success the more accomplishments you have under your belt. That way you can relate to your clients and be able to talk technically. But none of those are requirements, which is why it's so hard for me to give advice on this, because people are like, well, what do I need to do to be the best candidate to get a job doing this? And I don't know. I really don't know. It's the more things you can pack on your resume, the better. But you just have to get your feet wet in aircraft sales somewhere, anywhere you can find the opportunity, whether that's a manufacturer or some other brokerage that happens to be hiring entry-level external. It's just difficult to find. But the only way to do it is through networking and continuing.
So this guy's trying to network. He said if you need an intern, hit him up.
I know. I love that. I would love to have an intern. I would love to have a sales assistant. I don't think I'm ready for all that. I now have the most amazing assistant ever that's helping me with sales. She's doing all the organizing and admin and stuff for me. Shout out to Casey, who's doing the best job ever and might be listening. I don't know if she's still listening an hour in. I know she listens to some of it. And she's absolutely crushing it for me. So we good over here. We good.
Well, I hope that, we circled 1,000 times to tell you, like, not to discourage you. Like this, that's a rewarding career. I mean, I think that your job is amazing. It's, it's allowed me to quit my career. We've had an airplane for 6 years because of your career, but like it takes a lot of effort,
it's a grind.
Betting on yourself, right? Like, being a pilot, you're betting on yourself, but like you're a W-2 employee. once you get a job, that paycheck's coming. Like, you never know when you will be paid next.
Commission only, baby.
Baby. All right. I think that was fun. We're going to wrap it up here. We will see you guys at Sun and Fun. And if we don't, there'll be another podcast out next Wednesday. So listen up, subscribe, write some reviews.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.